How's it going, everybody? So in this video I want to talk about corporate corruption and its role in scientific evidence, specifically in relation to public health and influencing the average population to try to become healthier and prevent diseases. So I've already made a part 1 about this video where I kind of freestyled it and kind of took the conversation in many different directions, specifically discussing scientific research in general and why corporate corruption isn't really very relevant as far as the totality of scientific research. As long as you understand how to actually interpret that research, who it's funded by doesn't matter so much, because it's very easy to see studies that are kind of designed in a way to create specific, to push specific agendas and get a certain outcome. The problem isn't necessarily the funding. The problem is the interpreter and how they interpret the evidence. Because one person can look at a study, for example, the studies on, the studies that show, cohort studies, like in the National Institutes of Health, for example, they have cohort studies where they show the more plant foods someone includes in their diet, specifically cruciferous vegetables and citrus fruits, the more fruit and vegetable someone includes in their diet, in a dose-dependent response, the better health outcomes they have and the less risk of disease they have. Well, two different people can look at that and interpret it a completely different way. So one person can look at that study and say, oh, look, the more fruits and vegetables people eat, the healthier they become. Therefore, fruit and vegetables are magic, and you should eat fruit and vegetables and plant foods for their polyphenols and their magical properties, and you'll get healthy just like these other people. But then you have other people like myself who understand healthy user bias and understand that it's a large population study that's actually studying free living people who already eat those fruits and vegetables in their diet. And so they're probably also doing other healthy things, since, the people in the highest fruit and vegetable intake category are eating over like 8 cups of vegetables a day. These are really healthy people who take their health seriously. So of course they're exercising, they're avoiding processed foods and sugar and stuff like that, and probably avoiding smoking and other things as well. And so I understand the fruit and vegetable intake is probably not the cause, but it's probably a sign that these people are just living a healthier lifestyle. Anyway, two different people are interpreting that study a different way. But then you have these, some people who are like, no, it's the damn plant-based world order who's like modifying your perception and this and that. And it's like, well, not really. If you have like a more nuanced way of interpreting scientific literature, it doesn't really matter what Big Broccoli or the egg industry who funds studies, to fit their agenda, and fail to measure cholesterol levels at baseline, for example. That has no bearing on my interpretation of the research, because I actually know how to scout out faulty study design. So anyway, that's a lot of what I talked about in the first part of this. So if you can't find that video, comment down below and I'll link it to you and ask me for the video. But anyway. So I want to talk about more of like the practical, on a real world level, what actually drives people's, eating behaviors and stuff like that. Okay. So it's interesting to me because right after I recorded the first part of this video, I went on Instagram and Sean Baker shared an article about Alzheimer's research. Apparently, they actually did fake brain scans that was used as evidence for the primary working theory behind what causes Alzheimer's disease, which is the amyloid plaque theory. And apparently these scans seem to have been fabricated or altered in some way. And so that's an example of actual real faked research per se, okay? If it actually is true and this investigation proves that that's the case, that is legitimate, like, criminal, what is the word? It is faked, essentially, if that actually is proven to be the case. And if you search up, you'll find an article on science.org, I believe, where they talk about it. It's like a legitimate thing, and basically this investigation actually has a professor from University of San Antonio, UTSA, which is my university that I'm going to soon. So that's pretty interesting. Anyway, the thing is, though, most people who really care about the cause of Alzheimer's disease will do their due diligence, and they will look deeply into all the different potential hypotheses and causes of Alzheimer's. And, someone like me, for example, I have books that talk about the plant-based diet perspective, and they believe, like, cholesterol and saturated fat clogs the brain cells or something to that degree, or the arteries, and it's a circulation issue. And then, of course, you have I have the book called The Complete Book of Ketones by Dr. Mary Newport, and she actually treated her husband's Alzheimer's using ketone esters and coconut oil. And it talks about the research on how it might actually be a symptom of diabetes. So they call it type 3 diabetes, right? So I've actually read different kind of ideologies from different researchers from different health communities and different kind of paradigms, And they all have medical degrees and PhDs and, decades of experience. So it's not a matter of education. It's not a matter of going to the, colleges and this and that. It's a matter of two different people who had different experiences and different understandings of the literature. And they're exposed to different scientific information and things as well. So anyway, the problem isn't necessarily like corporate corruption, right? It influences a lot of people. But the main issue, though, is that on a population basis, okay, I can tell you with certainty. So, mainstream medical doctors, okay? I don't even know what that term even means, but like most medical doctors, okay, mainstream health people, they acknowledge that type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease, okay? And it can be treated through carb-restricted dieting and exercise, or caloric restriction and exercise and weight loss, as well as drugs like metformin and whatnot, right? I have actually met some doctors, one in the emergency room actually, who was trying to convince me to eat cookies and all this shit, which is really weird. And he insisted that type 2 diabetes cannot happen unless you have a genetic predisposition to it, which I just thought was, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's clearly wrong. And also your genetic predisposition to certain diseases are most likely determined by nutritional factors of your previous generations. So anyway, it's generally agreed that type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disorder. And the thing is, I, as a personal trainer, and I would say a health professional in some ways, right? For over a decade now, I've been a trainer. I have seen people with type 2 diabetes who tell me their doctors, like, recommending a low-carb diet to them and recommending that they exercise and this and that because their life depends upon it, because they have type 2 diabetes. Literally, they have type 2 diabetes and their doctor tells them they need to exercise and they need to eat, relatively healthy, let alone eat a low-carb diet. Otherwise, they could die or lose a limb or something, right? And obviously put them on medication or whatever. And even being told by doctors that your disease is caused by your nutrition, from what my experience, well over 65%, it's probably way more than that, okay? Of people that I've worked with that have been told, hey, you've got, diabetes, and if you just change your diet, it'll go away. They have the hardest time doing that and staying consistent. A lot of them just don't care for some reason. And it's hard for me to fathom, because I'm the type of person that anytime I have any kind of problem, whether it's a relationship problem, problem, my athletic performance, brain fog problem, a health problem, problems making friends, I'm the type of person that will fucking research it. I have Google, damn it. But then again, I'm also the type of person, my whole room is flooded with textbooks, and I really need bookshelves. So, and I have spent hours of my life watching lectures on these things, right? But anyway, and most people don't have enough time in their day to be able to do that, especially medical doctors, which is very sad. But point is, though, even when you're told that, hey, you just change your diet and your disease will go away, people still don't do that. So it's like, we have I have this comment, this really sparked this conversation with me, that he says, like, government corruption, or not government, large multi-billionaire corruption and scientific research, is corrupting science. First of all, it's not really like preventing you from using science as a useful tool. But then he goes on and says the mainstream media is being influenced by the billionaires and this and that, which is not the same thing as scientific research. Watch part 1 of this discussion to get better context. The thing is, no matter what the media says, people who really care about their health are not going to the mainstream media for health advice. Okay, most of those people, they're just like, they're listening to the health segment on news broadcasts or whatever as a side effect of just watching the news, right? They don't actually, people are trying to be healthy, actually go to real, at the very least, stupid freaking health influencers on YouTube, like Dr. Berg or something, or Vegan Gains or some whack-ass nonsense. But the point is, though, people who care, they read books. They really study it. And then if they don't get the results that they want, they find another source of information. Yeah, but even when people are told, hey, look, you could probably prevent, certain respiratory illnesses by changing your diet and this and that. If people aren't already looking into nutrition and health, they're not going to be persuaded very easily by a personal trainer or a nutritionist, or a doctor even, okay? People who think, oh, no, you need, medical degree is going to, a medical doctor, I need to hear it from a medical doctor. Especially in the comments, if people ask me, hey, the research doesn't support what you're saying, and I'm like actually sending them links to research, people usually will only try to discredit the shit that you say so that they can continue believing in what they already want to do, right? It's not really a matter of, hey, freaking large corporations are brainwashing people. I mean, and I think that they actually are. I think that that's a problem, don't get me wrong. I think the average person doesn't give a fuck about the most important shit. Most people in life, they care way too much about the wrong things. They care too much about celebrities and drama and the presidents, and then also even things like conspiracy theories. They spend so much time looking at conspiracy theories that they don't even understand how to interpret research or health. And honestly, another thing is, I've had so many friends that are really deep into conspiracies, and by the way, I actually was for a while because I felt wrong about the medical industry for so many decades. But a lot of those people I noticed, they're like, yeah, man, like they want you to eat GMO food and eat all this sugar and processed foods. First of all, no offense, and I might be overgeneralizing. I don't want to say that. A lot of them, I catch them eating, they eat processed foods, they eat GMO foods. They're not actually looking into conspiracy theories and stuff to to help their life and help other people. They're just addicted to conspiracies for some reason. Like, they don't actually do anything productive about it. So, I don't know. But I'm just saying, the majority of fucking people, if they cared about their fucking health, would not be, like, too influenced by these corporate corruption. Now, I will say there's a lot of people that struggle with, like, autoimmune illness and stuff and don't understand that maybe the broccoli you're eating could be a trigger just for you, maybe not everyone else. But I don't think it's corporate corruption that's stopping that. I just think it's evidence-based nutrition people. What's another good, like barbell medicine and all these other motherfuckers. I don't know why all I can think about is Lane Norton for some reason, but there's a lot of other ones. Kevin Bass, that's another one, right? Well, anyway, they just are too anal about like research and evidence and not open to thousands of people in like certain health communities getting results that aren't projected by the evidence. But people who really want to reverse their autoimmunity and they're willing to give up their damn waffles and other dumbass shit that they eat every day, they'll find paleo diets and whatever else, raw veganism, if you really want to go down that rabbit hole. And they might actually reverse their condition. But I don't think it's multi-billionaire industries that are limiting that. I think a lot of people are genuinely afraid that if they eat nothing but meat, they're going to die. Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not an easy thing to go from believing that you need all these vitamins and minerals to all of a sudden being like, oh shit, I could just eat beef and like survive for decades, And if you look at the people's reaction to like, like there's these YouTube channels where they eat like raw meat, There was a girl who was eating like a raw steak or raw octopus, and all the comments were just people just like so freaked out, like she's gonna die of salmonella and this and that. And meanwhile, it's like these people have been doing it for decades. To me, it doesn't look like corporate corruption. To me, I honestly, and I don't like saying this because it makes me feel arrogant, and I also feel like it's cognitively lazy. I feel like there's a lot of other factors involved. And also, I just feel like it's cynical and a nihilistic kind of thing. But I do feel like the main problem is, first and foremost, more accurately, the majority of human beings are ignorant, and they are trying to remain ignorant. They're not ignorant because of corporations. That might be part of it. But they're ignorant because they want to be. Most people don't want to believe that there's a conspiracy. They don't want to believe that if they go to the doctor, there's a chance that they might be given bad treatment, Most people, it's in human DNA to want safety and run away from pain. And it's very painful to understand these things that we're talking about here. To understand that, hey, bro, like, your diet can literally cause dementia or can cause diabetes or cancer or whatever. People want to be like, oh no, like, I gotta have faith and believe in God and go and get radiation. And it's like, well, here's all these books and this research and this and that can guide you towards actually developing a real understanding of what's going on. I was like, no, the doctors, they have it for me. Like, there's a lot of fear and negative emotions in people surrounding these topics. And even when you are trying to be healthy, like people are really emotional about, like, fucking carnivore diet is the best. Plants are trying to kill us. Fuck vegans. Or else, like, vegan people are like, fucking meat eaters need to be thrown in jail. Like, the real issue is people are very emotional about things. Their whole life is actually guided by fear and negative emotions. People don't want to be enlightened, right? And also, people are just dumb. Like, I do believe that the IQ is so fucking low amongst most people, the average population, that even if they wanted to become so-called enlightened, they don't have the freaking intelligence capacity to do so. And I will just say, as I mentioned in my other videos, not to brag, but it's very important, I recognize now, to mention that I was ranked as a 149 IQ in the 2nd grade. For those who don't know about IQ, that is in the 99th percentile of the entire fucking planet. That's insanity. That's crazy. And I always ignored that until my therapist mentioned it to me, because that's probably a reason why. Like, because I'm always like, why is it that even the people who are trying to be enlightened, they go on these crazy ass like rabbit trails of like, oh, it's a conspiracy or it's this or that. Take the red pill, bro, if you dare. And it's like, I've actually taken the red pill a long time ago, and then I transcended beyond it, and I recognize, well, the red pill guided me in a more accurate direction, but there's a lot of problems with that ideology as well. I'm like, why are all these other motherfuckers kind of getting parts of the picture, but then they're just holding on to these things and dogmatic? And now my therapist is like, well, you have 149 IQ. You're in the 99th percentile, bro. It's like, oh, that makes sense. That's why, I have a real hard time, like, communicating on an equal level with most people. But, especially surrounding these topics, right? So anyway, and I don't know how to actually communicate these ideas to people in a way that they can understand, considering there's such a huge gap. But nonetheless, forgot where I was going with that, damn it. Basically what I'm trying to say is, like, good fucking luck trying to understand all these things. I make these videos for those who give a fuck, okay? Because, yeah, most people don't give a fuck. Most people don't give a fuck about their health. They don't give a fuck about actually understanding their problems. This goes into everything, okay? Finances. So many people, they're like ranting about their money struggles and their financial troubles, and then they blame it on all these other things, and they spend most of their time and energy like complaining about why they can't do things, instead of focusing entirely on, okay, here's my problem. What is it that I want that is opposite to this problem? And then focusing on how do I get what I want, right? How do I get the financial success that I want? No, people are like, fucking the minimum wage and then the freaking, the taxes and all this other crazy shit. It's like, how about you focus on getting your fucking life together? No, conspiracies, and they don't want us to succeed. Like, fuck, man, please leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to experience that energy. That shit is like toxic to the mind, my guy. That's the real virus going around, is ignorance. Anyway, not to say that's not a factor, it's just not the solution, right? Anyway, just like corporate corruption is a factor, but focusing on that is not the solution. You want to be healthy and you want other people to be healthy, share the solution, not the crazy problems and issues going on. Where's it going with that? Fuck. Guys, I've had very little sleep in the last 3 days because of all the research I've been digging into lately. So I apologize if my discussion is not that good. But let me know in the comments if this actually makes sense, because I don't know. I just feel like I'm rambling and not getting anywhere. But yeah, I have had clients, man, where like literally they're paying me $300, or not paying, they're paying the gym like, $100 per session or whatever, and I get like 40% of it when I was working at a commercial gym. But I have people that are paying $400 a month for personal training that included nutrition consulting and shit like that, to help them lose weight, reverse their diabetes, and all these other things, lower their blood pressure. And it's like, first of all, my shit works. I always provide them with resources. I've bought some of my clients' books. I've even bought my PhD psychologist multiple books at one point, just to give him some information to help him deal with some of the problems he's dealing with. I've had clients give them resources, links to lectures, and then of course scientific research. Most of my clients don't give a fuck about research or sources or how real I am. Some of them are just results oriented, but most of them don't even care about results. Like, this is just the craziest thing. When you see how hard it is for people to get results with for people to adhere, for people to be consistent with their nutrition and shit. Like, most of these people who watch videos like this even, they're like, oh yeah, fucking sugar's bad for you and seed oils are bad for you and blah, blah, blah. A lot of these motherfuckers will binge watch this information, and I see their Instagram stories. They're eating pasta and all this bullshit still. And they're fat as fuck. They don't give a fuck about their health, even if they invest time and money and energy into it. So I don't want to go, I'm ranting, going down a real, but I have seen clients that will literally be paying hundreds of dollars a month for my help, or for other people's help. Seeing medical doctors ain't cheap, right? And their doctors will be telling them for years, to exercise, change your diet, and you'll reverse your disease. These people, their health gets worse and worse, and they don't give a fuck. They don't do anything to try to solve it. And these are the simpler things, like type 2 diabetes and fucking obesity. Or even like, for what it's worth, LDL and HDL cholesterol. You know what I mean? Even like that is very simple changing of macronutrients and certain types of exercise. And then blood pressure. Blood pressure is easy to get down. But no, for some reason, motherfuckers don't give a fuck. Okay? So the problem is not fucking government corruption, okay? And this is also why I understand why, like, public health policies, they don't really, I mean, there have been so many public health policies trying to push good nutrition on people. That is another thing. But people don't give a fuck. You can literally pay for healthy food for people. There are studies, intervention trials, where they pay people. They give them a grocery thing to spend on healthy food or whatever, and they provide them the food. And they drop out of the fucking study because they can't eat the healthy food that's provided for them. So I'm just saying, the main problem is not fucking government corruption. That does influence these things. And even medical doctors and stuff like that, and what they know about nutrition, that plays a role in influencing people, sure. More medical doctors knew about nutrition, study in their spare time, they'd be able to help their patients better. But a lot of patients, like the majority of patients that doctors will see, and the majority of clients that trainers will see, you're lucky to even get them to come to appointments once a month, okay? Let alone do the freaking nutrition. Even taking medication, supposed magic pills, most patients don't take. Let alone come into their personal training sessions once a month, even if they're paying for 4 sessions a month, giving them nutrition protocols that they'll follow. Most people don't care about themselves, okay? And then, of course, you have people, they're like, oh, like I'm depressed, or oh, I just don't have energy, and I, I'm sorry, I would exercise and follow your nutrition, but I don't have energy. I worked all day. It's like, I would have no energy and feel depressed and like shit too if I didn't exercise, and if I weighed 100 pounds over what I'm supposed to weigh, I had 100 pounds of extra body fat. It's like a weighted vest. I'd feel fucking exhausted too, especially, and then if I ate sugar and fucking French fries and shit, I would feel horrible, man. I'd have horrible stomach pains. You don't get that when you eat like a good diet. You don't get stomach pains. And if you do get stomach pains on a so-called good diet, it's because you don't know what healthy eating actually is. That word healthy means nothing. It's nebulous. Okay, that's why a lot of research on, healthy people get this sickness. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Motherfucker, what the hell do you mean healthy people? Okay, you look at the actual people they're talking about. The people from wish.com. Fucking fat as fuck. Drinking alcohol on their Instagram. Anyway, I'm done. Hopefully this shit makes sense. I think this is a good, entertaining segment. Hopefully insightful. And I'll talk to y'all. Yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all get from this and have your questions. I really need to get some damn sleep. Hopefully that shit happens. Today's a rest day for me, eating shit tons of food. Yeah, talk to y'all next time.